Hello, everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters, and welcome to the next Fear the Wolf, the month of werewolves special, which, of course, is dedicated to two films. One, which is a werewolf classic. It's one of the top ones, the ones we all enjoy. And the second one is the So sequel, which I had never seen for quite some time. And so I have to be honest, I have mixed feelings with rewatching this movie. So we're all just going to sit here and talk about them. So before we get cracking on these two movies to celebrate Fear the Wolf, Month of Werewolves, let me introduce you to my amazing guests. First and foremost, my amazing co-host. He's a good friend of mine, as well as the rest of these gentlemen. It is Mr. DJ Anubis of the Metal Tavern Radio. And alongside my good friend is my other good friend, my traveling compadre, Mr. Sexual Chocolate, Mr. Jedi Granville.
Always bring the sexual there for you, baby.
And he brings the enigma to the kaiju. He is the kaiju enigma, Jake Hall. And finally, we have none other than Anthony Jordan of Anthony Jordan's Movies and Gaming. Yes, so there you go. There's my amazing guests. And of course, I said we're here to talk about two movies. And the first of the two movies are this classic, American Werewolf in London. Yes, not far from the moors I am. So I've never met one yet, a werewolf. But you never know. Give it time.
I mean, you've been towards the Mars, right? I'm assuming.
And who was showing off his love for that particular film.
You can't blame him. That's what I'm talking
about. I am.
For once in his life, Anubis has something I do not. So
it's true. It's very true.
Okay.
But joining us, we have Alvin in the chat. Thank you for joining us.
What's up, Alvin?
Yes.
The werewolf himself.
Yes. Another werewolf enthusiast. So let's kick this off. Let's get cracking. Mr. DJ Anubis, your first time seeing American Werewolf in London.
Ooh, definitely wasn't in the theaters. I was too young to be in there to see that. But and maybe Jedi will remember, in the early 80s, they used to have this show that came on late at night on Saturdays. It's like called the Big Chill Theater or something. And they would do this intro to actually Pink Floyd's Time. And so one of the scenes, of course, was the transformation from David in this film, which got my interest peaked. And so I probably saw this film maybe a year or two later through that, TV channel and station and that show. But I just remember like being terrified of this film. Like it just was really creepy, despite the comedy that's in it. When it's horrific, it's horrific. It's like it really stands out.
Yes. Jedi Granville, your first time viewing this particular film.
I wouldn't officially see this film until like the late 80s, believe it or not, because I saw it like when it came on HBO and like bits and pieces. I saw little bits of scenes, but would not see it in its full entirety until like late 80s, and is what Anubis was saying, though. This has a strong comedy element, but when the horror kicks in, like there's a one scene where it's like I see it and it's like, dude, that's actually straight up scary, like this is, I mean, for a horrific comedy like it is, yeah, it's kind of balanced out with what it does. So I actually enjoy it for
that. Jake Hall.
The first time I officially watched it was when they released it on Blu-ray, and I think I got this I saw it bits and pieces on TV. I didn't fully watch until I bought the Blu-ray, and I was like, "Oh, okay then." Now I own it on 4K, so
Hmm.
for its time and the cinematography and all that, I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Anthony Jordan.
My first initial exposure when I was maybe 10 years old, I was at the flea market with my mom, and they had this little collection of kids books. They were probably about the size of my hand. They were little folding paper books and about a bunch of different movie monsters, and there was one about werewolves, and I wanted it because of that. And there was an image from the transformation, and I always wondered what that movie was. And then what I believe it was 98, the movie was on TNT and I was watching it, and it finally clicked. This is the movie from that book I had a few years ago, and it's a really well done movie. The way it, even if it's a little too comedy centric for my taste at times, just the way it blends the comedy and horror is really well done.
Yes. Well, this film came out in 1981, and I wasn't born till 1983, so I would not have seen this movie till well in the 90s. And all I can say is I cannot remember the exact time or where the hell I was or who I was with, but I do remember visually being absolutely terrified when especially when even the beginning of this movie where they're walking along the moors. Because don't forget, I am from England. I am from the northeast of England. I'm from Newcastle, and we are on the border of Scotland. We're the last major city before you cross over into Scotland. And when you go across the border, you actually enter the moors. So I have been on a train, I've been on a coach, I've been in a car where it's been a foggy, damp day. And as you're crossing the moors and you just see this vast greenness in the landscapes and the fog, it's eerie as hell. And so it gave me this real sense of I knew this place and I know what it's like. So I think that's why this film kind of right from the bat kind of gave me this eerie kind of feeling, because it feels so familiar. It's a real place to me. And then the overall story is just unique for me personally when it comes to werewolves.
Because I was going to ask this one question: do you feel like any place that werewolves are being taken place, does it feel more tangible in that sense? Because, like I say, when you see this film, it's like you see that it takes place where they're talking about, which is like I say, in the moors, and then we take them along. But it's like, does that give you that feeling like, oh my goodness,
yo, Sarah,
this is right in my backyard, basically, almost?
Yeah, so see the elements in London, the city side of it.
Mm-hmm.
That for me, yes, I can imagine it happening. But going up to Scotland, being on the moors land and all that, it feels more like that's more authentic. I could actually, if werewolves really existed, that is definitely the place a werewolf would preside.
It's
up in the moorlands of Scotland or deep in the country, the UK, the English summer side. Could definitely see them living, like, say, down the Yorkshire way in the woodlands, because it's vast trees and mass woodlands. Like, in America, you've got the likes of Yellowstone or Colorado, mountainous forest areas. That's where I would see a werewolf presiding if they really existed. So from that standpoint, it feels very real.
For you, it was really bringing the horror to home.
Yes, that's why I think it's so vivid in my mind. But like Anubis said, or as you said, Anthony, sorry, there's that comedy element where you look at the Howling, it stays the straight course of serious and eeriness, which I can understand why that is Anubis's favourite werewolf film. But the difference is we've seen many films where me and Anubis did the review of The Wolf of Snow Hollow, and I felt like if that had just been a straight line serious film without the comedy, it would have worked better. Where with this American Werewolf, the comedy kind of fits.
Yep.
Because they've got this American tourist who's out of his element, out of his environment, in the middle of Scotland, then ends up in London. So, he's like, an outsider, so it works. The comedy elements work.
Yeah. And I can't imagine, the funny thing is, rewatching it, I mean, I've forgotten how funny some of those elements really were, especially when we get into London. It's like that one particular side note of cop that's with his lieutenant or whatever, and he's just like, dude, how are you this just like clumsy like this? I mean, how you that can't, like that one scene where the door, the captain goes out the door, and it's like he tells them something, and it's like, dude, open the fucking door. You can't open the door. That's like, come on now. That's like, it's like you're clueless to this. Like, I didn't realize how good the comedy really works in this film.
Mm-hmm. So, An American Werewolf in London is a 1981 supernatural comedy horror film written and directed by John Ladis, an international co-production of the United Kingdom and the United States. The film stars David Norton, Jenny Agutter, Griffin Dunne, and John Woodvine. The title is a cross between An American in Paris and Werewolf of London. The film's plot follows two American backpackers, David and Jack, who are attacked by a werewolf while traveling in England, causing David to become a werewolf until the next full moon.
Yes.
And for me, what is so amazing, like I say, what always stands out for me is the beginning scenes of them being on the moors, trekking through the moors, and then they come across the slaughtered lamb.
Right.
Now, I guarantee you, this is very real. If you go into, say, a British village or go up to Scotland, and I'm not in the big cities like Edinburgh or Glasgow, but went into the villages and you had to walk into like the local village pub, because everyone knows everybody knows where they live, everybody knows who's sleeping with who. It's very much like that.
It's that tight knit.
And you are a stranger and you walk into their bar, they'll either be very very friendly, or they'll be very dismissive.
And we got that notion from when Homeboy mentions, like, what's with the star on the wall? It's like they all shut off right then and there. It's like,
you made me miss.
Yeah.
I never miss.
Yes. So that is very, very like what would happen. But I love how when they go to this pub, you can tell that there's a secret among the people that live in this village. They're hiding something. There's something behind their eyes, that there's some like a curse or something forbidden. And even though this is meant to be a horror comedy, I like how it goes into like werewolf lore, talks about lycanism and stuff of that nature, and how there's a curse, and how the only way to end the curse is you've got to end the werewolf bloodline. So it often makes you think. You seen, when the initial attack happens, when they're, unwelcomed in the slaughtered lamb, and they end up walking and decide to take a shortcut across the moors, and they initially attacked. You've got the landlady, the pub, who's like applauding the people in the pub to like go ahead and save them, to help them, and they get there too late, and Jack's killed. And obviously he isn't. And when you see the shape of the werewolf, it looks like an older man laid out. So it makes you think, how old is that man, and how long has he been a werewolf? And if it's in a bloodline, has that family, whoever the werewolf was, been there a long time? And is there still members of that family who are also werewolves still residing in that village up in Scotland?
And did anyone else get like the vibe, like, I really didn't think about it until more recently, but so when they start going across the moors, like they start straying from the road, And Kevin, you brought up how the moors are around by you out there. Part of me wonders if like just that scene alone is a little bit inspired by like the Hound of Baskervilles, because obviously it plays off the idea that the Hound is like this demon dog from hell or a wolf, and in a way you got the howling when you hear it, out there in the moors and stuff. So I really, part of me wonders if some of that was influenced by that story from Sherlock Holmes.
Well, if you remember when David and Jack are walking, or when they're sitting in the pub, they do mention the Hounds of Baskervilles as talking about like old British stories, and they bring up the Hounds of the Baskervilles.
Yeah.
But then obviously once they start crossing the moors themselves and they start yarring, the growling and the howling, that's when reality sets in. Oh shit. Something's out there.
Like, what is that? What is that?
It's funny how they just play it off. It's like, I hear something. Did you hear that? It's like, dude, if your ears are that's just like that messed up, you can't distinguish that. That's unnatural. Get your ass. You deserve to get your ass torn apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, things happen, and the whole village is kind of in it because they kind of cover up the attack. The kind of, the landlady, the villagers, the local police, the local hospital cover up and say it was a madman who they killed, and then he's suddenly transported right down from Scotland right down to London and wakes up in a London hospital. With, where he's having nightmares and these really scary dreams and nightmares. But when he first wakes up, he does wake up to this beautiful lady.
Yes, Miss Jenny Alger. I mean, she's legendary in the cinema. I mean, she just is. She's just very beautiful. But we won't go into that. Why that is.
Would you like to go into why that is, Walter?
Oh my God! Look, let's just be honest. Look, I'm just gonna say it out flat. Look, if you've seen a couple of her films before this, or at least before this, she was notorious for doing, certain love scenes, and I was like, and trust me when I say, English, like I say, English actors, you think like they'd be kind of prudish when it comes to nudity, but she had no problem doing nudity when she was in her youth, and but no, she's just she's a very good actress too. I'm not gonna say it's all about the physical. She is very good at what she does, and she does a good job in this film also. Even though she does have a love scene also in this film. So.
Well, there's no titties.
No, it's not, but it's very effective though, because she does give some very good expressions, that I like to say. Put it like that.
So, like I say, he wakes up 3 weeks later, and he's interviewed by the police. They're insisting that it's some lunatic who was, captured or gunned down. But he's insisting that it was a wolf or some wild animal. No one believes him, and he's getting ready in a few days to be released from hospital. And then some crazy shit starts to happen. Throughout the rest of his stay in the hospital, he starts having these, like I say, nightmaric visions. And this one.
Now, this moment right here, I have to say, this actually, when I first saw, not when I first saw the initial film, but just seeing the advertising, that scene with him in that kind of makeup, that actually scared the hell out of me. I mean,
I feel like he looks more vampire than anything else. There.
Yes.
It's the other scene which I had totally forgot about until I watched this again, like earlier the day, where he's dreaming of, like being back home with his family, and suddenly them soldiers men come in with
Nazi zombies or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And they start shooting and gunning his family, and just when you think the nightmare's over, there's her, and she goes, I know what'll make it better, and she opens the curtains and she's basically stabbed, and there's one over top of her, and it's like, holy shit, what the hell is going on?
No, this is. I guess this is just the residue of what you are going to become since you have been bitten. You have, as he said, it's a supernatural thing, and it's like it's really flooding his mind, and it's like
Yeah.
he can't turn it off. So it's like, yeah,
Like, I know this is horror and comedy, but in the do mention like werewolfism and in the like, slight hints of like occult or cursed, but they don't play into that too much. They kind of just play into the horror and the comedy and like this lone American who is stranded in the UK with no family, and he's just trying to like figure out what's going on, and and that's what I think appeals to me about this, that they don't, it's there, but they don't play into it. It's more about trying to deliver his story.
And
Mhm.
when
well, I
they
think I'm going.
when
I'm sorry.
when they do get to the horror, they really go for the throat with it.
Literally.
Mm-hmm. And of course, just as he's starting to think, right, was I attacked by a werewolf? Was I attacked by an animal? He's suddenly visited by Jack.
Yes. With some amazing makeup effects by Rick.
Oh God, yeah.
Good Lord.
Yep.
Like these makeup effects, like that alone.
I mean,
Yep.
I don't. It's see that's one thing when I saw this film initially, I'm like, dude, not the werewolf effects, which are good themselves, but these makeup effects with him half eaten, bitten in, and I was like, dude, you can literally see the tentacles,
Yeah.
or I mean, whatever, in his neck. I'm like, good Lord, that's you can't get that with CG. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Horror
And
That was the thing was always funny because as a kid watching this, I'm looking at it and like it's horrific, and especially when he starts to decompose over time, it gets worse.
Right.
But then as a kid, I'm like, is this like scary guy trying to be funny? Like, because you're listening to the shit that he's saying, and it's like it's a comedy part, it's like the comedy relief of it all. But it's like at the same time, it's like you're horrified, yet you're laughing your ass off at it. It's really a weird scenario.
yeah,
I thought
well,
this was a brilliant bit of lore that if you get killed by the werewolf, you're condemned to live limbo until the werewolf dies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like that element because it really gives a sense of how gruesome this curse is, and the person who is cursed with it, he's not just he's cursed, but the people he kills is also cursed and condemned as well. So it's like, it feels as if like he's got this massive chain around him, and these people are all tied to it until
Right.
he meets his end, which is also quite sad. But as you know, the special effects in this movie were made by Rick Baker. He has some of the backstage work that he provided. And as you know, because of the success of, like you say, how gory and gruesome things were, he was successful enough in winning himself an Oscar.
And you do realize that Oscar category was actually something they made up on the fly because of how effective his work was in this film. I mean, there was no necessarily a makeup effects Oscar at that time, but this was the thing that generated that particular category. And ever since then, anyone who's ever watched different films that has different kind of makeup effects or whatever, they always win that award when it's really well done. And this one definitely well done.
And for many, many years, as you know, especially action movies, there's a load of amazing action, stunt coordinator, stunt men that don't get recognized for the stunts that they do. And I believe next year's Oscars is going to be the first Oscar to introduce the Academy Award for Best Stuntman or Stunt Coordination.
Really?
Which after many years, should have been introduced many years ago.
I'll just give my 2 cents on that. I think that should have been put in way before the fact, because let's be honest, that's something that Hollywood was always honed in on anyway when it came to stunt performers. Because if you looked at some of the stuff back through the ages, some of them people, men and women, gave up their lives in order to do a great performance, and now they're getting recognized for that. I'm like, sorry,
that right there is why they never really pushed that award, because their worry was, if we push this award, it'll push filmmakers to be more reckless and put stunt performers' lives in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tom Cruise is doing that for it.
Well,
but getting back to the story, as you know, as the plot progresses, and he does get released from the hospital. He does, he listens to what Jack says to him, but he thinks it's just like a hallucination. Is it really me? Is he really out of his mind? He's really at a confused place. And this is where he ends up going to Alex Price, who is the nurse, who has a soft spot for him. Yes. She basically shows her feelings, and she ends up inviting him to stay in her flat in London, because at the end of the day, he's got nowhere.
I like the delay. Stay in her flat.
I was going to say
that ain't all you staying in.
Yeah, right. I mean, she made no bones mixing. It's like, I'm very attracted to you. It's like, okay, so you're just coming out and saying, it's like, I pretty much want to bone you.
Well, I found it hilarious how being in the flat for 2 seconds. It's like, I've only slept with 7 men. And 2 of them were one night stands. The television's over there. I'm just about to take a shower. And the next thing you know, they're in the shower together, getting it on like Donkey Kong. There's no titty action. I'm going to go to J. Cole. What did you think of the sex scene? Was it something you were too sure?
What the hell? You just
I mean, who best to describe this? Come on, Jake.
It was all right. I mean, he really didn't show much. He showed him on top, and then you see the girl like and all that, and then as they're spending time together, she has to go back to the whole hospital. And she's like, just make yourself comfortable. If you get hungry, there's food in the fridge. Well, he's sitting there being at there, and you see him like trying to read a book. It's like, go outside. I can't do it. Look in the fridge. I'm still not fucking hungry. And then, as it gets nighttime, because it's about to be the full moon, then all of a sudden he's like, oh God. Starts feeling the pain, and that's when we get the amazing cinematography of the first transformation of him transforming into the werewolf. I mean, the way they did it and the transformation and all that was pure magic. And I couldn't even imagine the pain that he was going through each time that he had to go through that, which I think was only like 2 times, I think, in the film.
He's only
maybe 3 times. So, but yeah, and once he's fully transformation is complete, he's like, wow. And then he goes off and kills oh yeah, first he kills fixing to be newlyweds. They're engaged right now. And all you see is the head just go. Then
it's really effective too, because like around that time, like you're not seeing the wolf a lot. Like it's not like staying on him, but when it does, like you go from that description that Jake gave to like going back up to the people inside the condo. And then all of a sudden you go back down to the bottom. It's like you see this wolf just like ripping to shreds on the body, like, and then it quickly goes back up to the people in the condo. So I think it's really well done on how they kind of. Go ahead.
One thing I thought was cool what Jake mentioned about the transformation scene, and I think it's a nice touch. If you watch carefully in his in and out restlessness, he actually left both the front door to the apartment and the apartment door open, so they just subtly left that little, this is how he got out in there, and most people don't even notice it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's actually smart. And I'm sitting there going, "Oh, he left the doors open. That's a bad idea."
Yep, it really was because
There's another shot of the filming of the trance and how it was brought to life.
Yes.
Oh wow.
It was like I said, it was a mixed bag of how they did this. I mean, he's in the floor, and the rest of it was prosthetics. You know, I mean, it's like I say, man, it's one of those films. It's one of those rarities where I feel like it's not a so-called, man standing up on two. Although they can do it now, standing on being bipedal. It was showing a quadruped, werewolf, and it's like I say, it's really effective, And I'm pretty sure, like Jake was mentioning, like right here, yeah. I mean, well, not here, but where he's down in the underground, and that's the moment that scared the hell out of me the most when I first saw this film. Is he's chasing this businessman, and he's following him through the tunnels there, dude. I'm telling you right now, when you just see the point of view of the wolf chasing this person, I don't know what it was. I guess because you're seeing the killer. When I say seeing the killer, you're seeing the killer point of view, and you're seeing who they're going to attack, and it's just like that's so effective. And then that moment where he's on the escalator, the man is on the escalator, and you just get that hint of that werewolf coming towards,
I think that's what makes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that's what makes this more scary. There's something there, but you can't see it.
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to say.
You know what it reminds me of in many ways, like Jaws.
Yes, I was going to say Jaws.
You don't see the shark, but you know what's happening. So you see the odd headshot of the werewolf jumping up at people, but you're not actually seeing it.
Yeah,
not in full figure. The only time you do is that you get to see a glimpse of it at the subway, at the London Underground. You don't really see it in full form till in the theatre or in the alleyway at the end. But this is a prop next to the dog.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's, dude.
So,
and the figure that this thing is that strong too, is like, yeah, you don't want to mess with it.
Like, I'm not gonna. If I seen that coming at me, I'd fucking shit me pants. I'm not gonna.
I don't think I would have time to shit my pants. I pretty much would be.
Well, that's why I think it's funny because, like, I always think of the scene where the guy in the subway and he's like up the escalators, and you can see at the bottom where the wolf is appearing. I don't give a fuck who you are, and I don't care how big I am. That motherfucking wolf is not catching me. I am gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
like, dude,
I will be the fucking road runner. You will not catch me.
I mean, that's one of the many tropes that this movie does play on. And look, it's a man that's tripping and falling, and it's like, dude, you better get your ass up right now.
He's all of a sudden like fatigued and tired. I'm like, dude, you are gonna lose your fucking life. Move your ass.
Move. Get the hell out of there.
That would be like if you had a buddy with you. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? Running would be a good idea. Zoom.
Like, I'll ask Anubis this because he is like the werewolf connoisseur. What's your overall opinion of the design of the werewolf in this?
Oh, it's beautiful, gorgeous. Everyone knows I generally like the more stand-up version like you have in the Howling and stuff, but this, even in its form, is like just fantastic. Like it even though it probably could stand up a little bit, it's more of just you're crawling on all fours, but it looks great.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, like you say, this is the first rampage. The doctor who we know, who is in the hospital, he suddenly has a feeling, he gets like a hunch that nothing is as it appears. So he then ventures up to the village and goes into the slaughtered lamb, and just like with the other two, Jack and David, he immediately feels like this unwantedness by the locals, But unlike them two who just play into the uncomfortableness, he kind of tries to brush it off and is like, I'll have a cup of tea. We don't serve tea. Yeah, well, I'll have a pint of bitter then, please. And then he's talking to the locals, and they kind of know he's like asking too many questions. And this is when one of them leaves the bar to go, check on the animals. And as he comes out into the rain, he then, sees the person standing, and he ventures up to him, and then he then starts to explain to him that it wasn't meant to happen, and he basically reveals that there's kind of been a cover-up on the event. And then the other farmer, I'm assuming the farmer's like, that's enough. And it also makes me feel like some of these people are family.
Most likely. I mean,
Like-
that, or they're just very tight-knit type of village.
Mhm.
It makes me want to see a movie just about this community.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to see a prequel to American Werewolf in London. Like, who was the first werewolf? How did he get cursed? How did the village then make the decision to just cover up the werewolf curse and try to hide it from the rest of the rest?
I mean, technically, that's really what Robert Eggers should do. Like, that's the kind of film that he'd be good at, to
I
create
would think
that.
so, yeah, he would definitely.
Because you don't have to have it be comedic like this film. You can literally just do like a Nosferatu thing where it's just more atmospheric, and then you deal with the people at the pub and all this stuff, and then how it unfolds where this guy becomes this werewolf at the beginning.
Just as long as you can see things as far as that. I mean, because his movies are so damn dark in certain parts. I'm like, come on, man, give us a little light. I want to see what we're seeing here,
But it's like with that as well, if they did a prequel to American Werewolf in London, they could even set it in a different century, like in the 1930s, and then they could then skip at the end of the movie a few years later to and then make it interlink with the American Werewolf in London.
Or they could do kind of like a anthology film and say the curse first started like 120 years ago or whatever. You could tell one story when the curse first started, jump 50 or so years, tell another, and do like 4 stories in that format. In the last one will be the werewolf that attacked them in this movie.
Yes. Like you say, if it's a curse and the same person's cursed, if that person were to have a family, that family would also be connected to the curse, and it would continue regardless if that original werewolf was killed. If a child is born through someone cursed, I'm assuming the curse would pass through to them, which we'll talk about with the second film that we're about to talk about. But as the film progresses, he wakes up in the zoo, has no recollection of what went on the night before. The doctor now returns to London and explains to Alex that he believes that everything that happened up in Scotland was a cover-up. He believes that there potentially is a real curse and that David potentially is a real werewolf. This then zooms to the daytime where David then discovers the murders via the taxi driver and on the way to the hospital. He then leaves out, he's absolutely terrified, and I really feel for him in the moment in the phone booth.
Yes.
Where he's in the phone booth and he's talking to his younger sister, who you saw his family in the nightmare vision where the Nazi monsters killed them, slaughtered them. So he really has a connection to his family, and he's really homesick and missing home. He tells his sister he loves her, tells them, tell mom and dad, tell me brother. And, you can really feel the sincerity in his voice.
Yeah.
And after he hangs up, he has a little, knife, like a blade, and he's attempting to commit suicide, but he just can't do it. And that's when he leaves the phone booth feeling kind of defeated, and he looks across the road and he sees Jack. And Jack's a bit more discoloured, And he goes across the road and he basically pays to go into the adult cinema.
There goes
Um,
Jake.
Yeah, I mean, Jake. I mean, that's look. If you want the comedy to flow, like I say, why not go to a, adult
So
cinema?
as he's sitting there with Jack, he's talking to him. He's now nearly fully decomposed, but then he meets all of the victims of the night before, which I love this scene. I love how even when Jack's sitting there, like totally decomposed, his eyes are glued to the screen. And he's watching the sex and the tits and all that. And then even David's like, this is a good movie.
It seemed like it does make you wonder, like, I know they're cursed to limbo, but if their spirit is going to keep decomposing like the body would, does it just get to the point where they can't move anymore and they're stuck in that one place until the curse?
I think the reason he's seen him keep on, like, every time we see he's decompose more, it's to kind of make it reality to David of how bad the curse is and how he is cursed with him. I think it's to try and make him feel guilty, or to try and push him to say, right, look at what's happening to us. You're slowly seeing this decompose, but I'm not dead.
And I don't know
about
I don't know if you know this. There's a little fun fact here. This movie came out in 1981. One of the people that he killed that's sitting in the theater, that gentleman, it's an older gentleman. He was in Dragon Slayer. I don't know if you noticed this. It's that guy to the far right that was in Dragon Slayer. He's in this. He's in this picture too. I don't know if you noticed that.
Wasn't he also an alligator too? Or am I thinking of a different person?
You might be thinking of another, because it's an English individual. So I don't know.
Okay.
Come to think of it, with my question, it's not really canon to the movie, but there's an audio drama, and there's the part where it's like they can also see the guy who bit him and killed his friend, and that guy, he's like, yeah, and I can see all my victims, but you can't.
But David kind of knows what's coming. He even tried to get arrested before he went to the phone booth. And I guarantee if he did that in London right now, he would have been arrested and probably locked up for 6 weeks or something.
Because of the things he was saying about the Queen and I'm like, dude, like, come on now. Even I know that's supposed to be what you call, artistic licensing, and I was like, say it's supposed to be some kind of belief, but it's like, even I would say this dude been locked up quick.
From what I understand, like the UK theatrical release of this film, they actually had a point in the credits where it apologized to them and said, no hard feelings.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Queen, I mean, the Prince is not well, I can't say it here because we won't.
But Jack then transforms. Not Jack, sorry, David and I have to say, you have the lady who served him into the she's at the door. There's something going on inside. You can hear noises. There was even that scene where he's screaming out loud, and I think people thought he was, having a bit of a play.
Yeah.
But then, because the man's just kind of like a creepy perv that's just standing looking at him.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Because it's really people who don't want people to notice them in those kind of joints, those kind of theaters. So like everyone kind of minds their own business because they're probably either jerking it or just don't want to be seen. So you got some dude who's like, yelling out, and he's like, "Dude, cut it out, man! Like, you're gonna draw attention to people here. Come on now."
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is you see the nails on top of the chair but in front of him, and they start to slowly transfer him. And then next thing you know, there's a racket inside. Then you see the woman outside screaming, trying to get the cops. The cops run in, and this is one of my favorite shots in the movie.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
Just
yeah.
like that looks fucking scary.
No.
Now, even when I look at that, I know it's some sort of animatronic or puppetry,
Yep.
but that still looks real to me.
Still looks real.
That looks
Let's-
scary, but I feel like the corpse still has like a smug look on his face.
It's like, I'm getting eaten alive here.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Thank you for joining us. But honestly, but even looking at that, I still think that looks real. It's still,
It's very
you know, and then in the next movie you've got PS1 effects, like
yeah, that's awesome technology right there. I was like, wow. I'm sucked in.
which we'll get there. We'll get.
Oh no,
there.
that's what I'm saying. We'll get there for sure.
But as you know, as the film progresses, suddenly the cop who was interviewing David right at the beginning of the film, when he comes down to London, he arrives at the movie theatre. There's loads of police officers trying to stop whatever's inside getting out, and all of a sudden it bursts out through the barrier, through the steel shutter, and then it pounces it catches him by the head, and it basically bites his head off.
Yes. And can I just bring up one little thing real quick?
Mm-hmm.
This is another trope I can't stand. Why the hell do people just, if there's a danger going on, why do people cascade towards the danger to be involved? It's like, do you not hear or see that if there are cops and one cop say, "Get your asses away from here," which it's something going on, and they're just still cascading towards the damn door.
Because they're idiots.
In their defense, I don't think they were expecting a literal hellhound to rip through the door.
That is true. And then this is a great scene. You see it walking like through Piccadilly Circus. You see buses swinging around the giant roundabout, crashing into cars. You see people falling out of the bus and hitting the deck and cracking their heads open. You see, cars crashing into people and all. So that one thing has created not just a werewolf killing, it's just created pure chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give this movie credit, though. That's some good stunt work in this moment, Yeah. And I don't know if anyone knows this, that John Landis started out as a stunt performer. So him doing stunts in his film like this, it's like, or having portrayed in his films, it's not uncommon. So, but that was some good, because it's, you look at it, it's some graphic shit. So, people going through windshields, as you say, getting crushed. I'm like, God, man.
It kind of makes you wonder too, like, are the people like indirectly killed by him affected by the curse too?
Could potentially be, but I just think it's a bunch of dumbasses, like Walter said, that decided to be somewhere they shouldn't have been. And unfortunately, because of that stupid decision they made to be somewhere they shouldn't have been, the casualties are, it's affected other people that are innocently being, involved in accidents, in crashes, and crushed for no reason other than dumbasses causing commotion.
I feel it's a Darwin effect, it's like, hey, they're adding into the society, get rid of them. Because at least we know, like, they won't do no more stupid shit later on in life. So it's like, yeah, there we go.
So this is the climax of the film, where basically David, who is now the werewolf in full effect, he runs down an alleyway, and Alex with the doctor seemingly go, and just like the people, she runs after the police. She runs down the alleyway, and there was a poignant moment earlier in the film where they were lying in bed together, or when he felt desperate, he told her that he loved her. And there was conversations of the curse can only be broken by somebody that loves you. And you have that amazing moment where basically when he's in werewolf form, she looks at him and she goes, "I love you, Alex." And all you see is the eyes of the werewolf kind of change from this vicious beast to like this cowering lion in many aspects. But then not long after she said that, he then reversed back to his natural instinct to hunt. And he lunges at her, and the next thing you know, you hear gunfire. And as she walks towards him, then you don't see like the deep transition, but you kind of figure it's happened. And you just see his lifeless body lying there. And the police surround him, the doctor's there, and they see David. Like,
I'll tell you one thing.
Emotionally.
The one thing about that scene, though, is like, Anthony and I just got done watching The Town of Dread Sundown, where the police there couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, but these guys can shoot around her to get to the fucking wolf. Like, how the fuck does that happen?
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up, Nubis, because I'm like, you mean to tell me you could do like in Wanted? It's like zoom the bullets around.
I mean, they were in a fucking firing squad. Like, how the fuck are you going to hit that wolf with her standing there?
And then even when they did shoot the wolf, where you see his lifeless body, he had 2 gunshots on the leg, 2 on the arm, and maybe 1 in his hip.
Yeah.
None of them hit him in the chest. None of them hit his waist, because I wanted to show his beautiful torso, his naked, caressed body.
Yeah, we know you like that part. Yeah, we get it.
And
I like the thought of him running naked in the woods before he ripped the fucking deer head off. That's a bit
and just to add on insult to injury. I know
in the scene where David's running with the fucking balloons, you know that fucking Kevin's gonna be sitting there with like a needle going pop, pop.
but
where's my prize? Pop. Pop.
You want to know the funny thing about this film? It actually was controversial for the actor David Newton, to do this film, because he was with
Dr. Pepper spokesman. And
So when you see him, and I was kind of amazed that he actually did nudity in here, but it's like it was comfortable, and hey, it's like, hey, I'm just it's a part of the movie, So
and Dr. Pepper actually fired him over this.
Mm-hmm.
That was so stupid.
I know it was.
I would have thought after this film, though, like his career would have skyrocketed, but it kind of didn't, which is a shame.
That's what I don't understand. It's like because he was a young actor, and it's like, why would because this is a very good film, so like, why would it peter out? I don't get that.
Because a lot of times people don't value horror films, so like.
True.
I don't know exactly which film Kevin Bacon did, but he started out, of course, in Friday the 13th Part 2. So he must have done a film. Part 1, excuse me.
Part 1, yeah, I was going to say Part 1.
But whatever film he did after that or one after is like, he caught on somewhere else. So I don't know what films David did after this, but, obviously the film did well in the theater. But again, critics, especially during that time, they're so overly harsh on horror films. It's like ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Even when you have a great horror film, they still are harsh on it.
Yeah, like this can put if a successful horror film can put a spotlight on an actor, but once the spotlight on them, it's up to them to pick the roles that keeps the momentum going. And maybe after this, he picked other roles and they just didn't give him enough, publicity, or didn't do as well as they hoped to keep his momentum and his name out there enough. But either way, he's part of probably one of the most iconic werewolf films out there. Yeah. So overall thoughts, Anubis, on American Werewolf in London?
Still one of the top 2 werewolf films of all time. I never begrudge anybody that puts this at number 1. It's still one of the best out there. So like, it doesn't hurt my feelings if people feel like this is their favorite over Howling, but it still holds up. This is, again, you talked about earlier in the review that this is one of the films where, unlike The Wolf of Snow Hollow, the comedy works here. It meshes very well. There's like an ebb and flow with the horror and comedy in this, as opposed to Wolf Hollow. So, or Snow Hollow, excuse me. But so yeah, this is still like a massive, great film for me.
Well, how I would look at it, this is just me. If I want to watch a straightforward, serious werewolf film, I would watch The Howling. If I want to watch a werewolf film with a little bit of comedy, but it ebbs and flows and it works well together. I watch American Werewolf in London. For me, they're both tied at my favourite werewolf film. Jedi Granville, overall thoughts on American Werewolf in London?
Well, as we mentioned, it's a very well made. I mean, look, it's sad that this film. I mean, it got the kudos that it deserved. Like I say, winning the Academy Award for makeup and everything, and it still stands the test of time. You know, I mean, it's like I say, this is always the go-to or one of the go-tos when it comes to werewolf films, because I kind of think we mentioned on a stream on y'all stream that with the Howling, this came out the same year as that film, you know, and you know they still had a balance with what they were doing, you know, in terms of effects and story, and they had their own unique signature of what they were, you know. But this film is definitely out there as one of those films or gems, as I like to say, that I feel needs to give a watch once in a while, you know, because it's well made. And the fun thing is, you know, even though we see the transformation and everything, that transformation doesn't even happen until like almost an hour into the film, you know. So it lets you know that there's more to this film than just the werewolf lore in terms of what happens to him, you know. So it's definitely in one of my top lists, and I'll give it a definite 9 for what it is.
What about Jake Hall?
Definitely a timeless classic. Enjoyed the special effects, the cinematography, the makeup effects, how they portrayed the werewolf, how the storyline. It was just a beautiful film. So,
Anthony Jordan.
Definitely top 5 werewolf movies. My favorite will always be The Wolfman, but this is a classic. Why I think sometimes I wish the comedy would have been toned down a little. It still works really well, and just can't say much more about it than, like Jake said, a timeless classic.
Show that plushie again, Anthony. I'm just okay. That's cute.
Did you know that the director John Landis has some regrets though on the film? He expressed regret over changing and even cutting certain sequences from the final cut of the film in order to earn an R rating in the United States. The sex scene between Alex and David was edited to be less explicit. And an extended scene showing the homeless men along the Thames being attacked by the werewolf was eliminated after test audiences reacted negatively to it.
So okay to kill everyone else, but not those homeless people.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Another showed the undead Jack eating a piece of toast which falls out of his torn throat.
Yeah.
Landis also included that the werewolf's transformation scene had been shortened. He was so fascinated by the quality of Rick Baker's effects that he spent more time on the scene than he otherwise would have. So the transformation scene was actually meant to be longer, but they cut it for time restraints. I don't know if them scenes are still available and if they'll ever add them to a director's cut, which I think if there's an anniversary coming up, it might as well do it. Because if James Cameron can do fucking special editions or this and that of his movies, I can't see why they can't do it for American Werewolf in London.
James Cameron's a different enigma. Sorry.
But from the good
to the best.
Yes, the best. It's the
semi-best.
Yes. It's so best that you can't even get the
It's so bad, it's the best.
So, as Fat Samurai guy would say, it's good trash.
It's just trash.
I can't even say I can't even say good trash. I'm sorry, I just can't do that.
Well,
I guess I'm going to be on that lonely island on this one.
It's a burning dumpster floating down the street during a flood.
well, let's get cracking, people, because it's time to talk about American Werewolf in Paris.
American Hairy Man in Paris.
For me, could have potentially have been so much better, because I do believe Paris is a perfect location for a werewolf film. You've got the catacombs, you've just like London, they've got the dark streets that are dimly lit. You know, they've got, you know, all sorts. But they decided to fuck it up, in my opinion. But let's get cracking and talk a little bit about it. An American Werewolf in Paris, also then retitled to just American Werewolf in Paris, is a 1997 comedy horror film directed by Anthony Waller, screenplay by Tim Burns and Tom Stern, and Waller, and starring Tom Everett Scott and Julie Delpy. It follows the general concept of, and was originally conceived as a sequel to John Landis's 1981 film An American Werewolf in London. Although by the time the film had reached production, all narrative references to the first film had been removed. The film is an international co-production between companies from the United States, France, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. The film cost $26 million to make and only made, it cost $25 million to make, and it only made $26 million at the box office.
I think it cost too much. Sorry.
Well, it certainly cost a lot more than the first one did.
And in actuality, even though it made a million, I think that budget is before you figure in the production value. So when all was said and done, it probably lost money once you add that.
So,
I feel your pain, Kevin. I feel your pain.
This film's better than some of the fucking Howling sequels, I'll give it that.
It's no New Moon Rising, but yeah.
Yeah, it's better than the fucking Howling 7, which fucking, Jesus Christ, I still have nightmares watching that piece of shit again.
That's the only Howling I've never seen.
You have to see it. You have to see it.
It's been years since I've seen the others, so.
Jake, all I'm going to say, there's dirt in the chili.
Yeah. I watched y'all's review.
Dirt in the chili.
So it starts off with these three. Well, it didn't start off with these three.
Well, so but they're numbnuts.
Mm-hmm. So it starts off on a rainy Paris night where you see some man come out of a sewer. He runs into the middle of the road to try and escape something chasing him. Somebody stops his car to go and help him, but then suddenly out of the sewer drain, he's then dragged back down to what was seem is his death. The next thing you see is the Beavis and Butthead triplets on a train talking about getting laid and all this in Paris. And, you know, this guy, Tom Everett Scott, who plays Andy, saying I have basically a particular taste in women. I'll show you when I get to Paris. It basically starts off when they climb the Eiffel Tower. They've been drinking red wine all day. He decides to grab out of his bag a bungee jump rope. His dream or his ambition is to dare himself to do a bungee jump off the Eiffel Tower. They hear a noise, they run away, they hide round the corner, and it is Seraphine. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Seraphine, played by Julie Delpy.
The lovely Julie Delpy. That's my girl.
And she's French herself. That's the thing about her.
Mm-hmm. So Seraphine Piggott, she's known in the movie. She comes out and she looks all worried and scared, and like she suddenly climbs part of the Eiffel Tower, and it's clearly she's there to commit suicide. And she basically jumps, but then Andy, because he's got the bungee jump rope, he instantly just kind of jumps after her. The dumb shit hasn't tied it to the metal bar, so his friends have to basically save his life. And Delphine falls, she doesn't die. He drops her just as she's about to hit the floor. And then basically, after one night of lots of red wine, trying to do a bungee jump, he falls in love with her.
I was thinking with this because he hits his head against the Eiffel Tower, bouncing back up, that it would almost be hilarious if at the end it was revealed he suffered severe brain damage and none of this was happening.
Yeah.
He was like, woohoo, yay! Dum.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the plot after that is like a Cinderella kind of vibe. Instead of having the glass slip out to try and find out, he finds us in a note with a handwriting.
Yeah.
And he's in the hospital. He notices that she's in the hospital. He thinks she's there for him. She's not. She's there to steal a newly, heart, a human heart, which you don't kind of understand why. As the film progresses, you then, discover she is a werewolf. He is scratched, and he is now going through kind of the phases of transforming into a werewolf.
I really like the scene where like he's in her bed and like she's like trying to distract him, so she puts his hands on her boobs and he's like, ooh.
Say in the American Werewolf in London, I found the romance totally believable and thought it felt natural, where with this one I'm like, I just don't buy it. It doesn't feel right, and these two have not only do they have no chemistry together, but they have a deficit of chemistry.
I'm sorry, and this is what I'm glad someone else said it, because I'm like, dude, the chemistry in this film is so flat. I mean, I don't believe this. I can't feel it. I mean, it's you see many films where people have this relationship between one another, and they're acting, they're playing off one another, but you can feel if it's like genuine. You can feel if it's like really like right there. It's like, oh, I believe that these people are in love with one another. They're really feeling one another. This just felt like it was forced. It felt like so like I don't care. I mean, if y'all fall in love, big deal. I mean, y'all can go sail away on the ocean for all I care, but I'm not gonna feel nothing for you. And oh my god, I can't.
So basically, as the plot progresses, you then discover, they go to a nightclub, and there's these guys at House A, and it's so fucking corny. The script's horrendous. I love American. I love American. You come to my club. I'll fucking get you laid, or I'm gonna rip your fucking throat out when I become werewolf.
You got American girls.
And that club at the door outside of it might as well have had a sign that said, "We kill tourists."
Yeah. Yeah.
So they go to this club, and basically the guy, he's like part of a werewolf cult where they want to change the world and transform people into werewolves, or to like whatever. And Stephanie, she comes and she saves him, but he is scratched. And then, like you say, she's in the house with him the next day. She's trying to distract him, make him understand what's happening. Like you say, put hands on tits. The fall, he falls deeper in love with her, and then she's made this blended fucking this breakfast smoothie out of a man's heart.
I will say, as much as I hate to give this film any credit, I at least like the concept of these werewolves who throw parties for tourists so they can hunt and kill them. because it's like almost a perfect way to do it as a werewolf, because by the time anyone reports these tourists missing, it'll be weeks after and like there'll be no proof, so it's almost a perfect crime.
Mhm.
I agree. My problem is they should have done more with it. And what I mean by that is they could have made it like a deadly game. So, for example, they take a bunch of tourists, they put them in this nightclub, but then they reveal that they're werewolves, and then they say like the only way out before they hunt them is to go down the flight of stairs that leads them into the catacombs, which is like a giant maze. And then it would have been like a game for them to hunt these people down one by one, and then to show them like different tourists being hunted by the werewolf. It would have given it a much more grim, like
Here's the problem, and this is why I don't give this film as much grief as that most people do. And you guys know this because you've seen this film. This film was designed for the MTV generation. This was all about grunge music. It was all about being silly. When London was made, nobody saw it coming. And, since then they've been crying and crying. We want a sequel to London. We want a sequel. Well, unfortunately, this is what we got. But this is the Blumhouse before Blumhouse. This is what this is. So go ahead.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's kind of a victim of, after the first Scream, every horror movie had to be this glossy teen film.
Yes.
Well, that's what Scream did. Scream became like the new nightmare for the new generation. It was like it started rejuvenated the slasher genre, because if you think about it, you got Scream, then they did I Know What You Did Last Summer, then they did Urban Legend, and like you say, because Screams came back and has been popular again, they've then rebooted I Know What You Did Last Summer, and they're also now rebooting Urban Legend.
Yep.
So, it's like a continuous cycle of shite, because if it makes money, they'll do it. But the one thing I will say after the initial, massacre in the nightclub and his friend is murdered, I did feel like sympathy for him, because when he's standing looking at the body getting pulled out of the river, and even though this is very CGI heavy, I do like the fact that when it came to his friend, I think the majority of that is practical effect.
It's practical, yes.
So they kind of like try to deliver parts of this with practical effects, and I appreciate that. But for me, the overall story in the acting was horrendous.
I do feel like there was a genuine intent to make a better movie than what was actually delivered.
Like I say, I think I would have worked better instead of like these, because I look at these, like this werewolf gang that's going around killing tourists. I feel like they're just like a biker gang without bikes, and I feel as if they had made them more serious and more sadistic and sick, and make it come across that that like it's a game to them, it's a hunt, that like using the animalistic abilities to go after these people. And like I said before we started, Paris is the perfect location. You've got the catacombs underneath that are dark, gloomy, and scary. And then you've got the idea of these werewolves hunting you in like this mazed area underneath Paris.
Which is interesting, because I love your idea with the catacombs, because that would remind me so much of Howling 5 with the castle. Like it has a very same feel, because it's so dark down there. It's creepy. You get lost down there very easily in the catacombs, which you gave me an idea for my next school's pick, by the way. But the reality is like that would be a great story, but I know what they were trying to do here, because they're trying to capitalize on the alternative rock stuff that was going on at the time. And you put a budget of $25 million in, it's the same thing we always hear. They want to get that money back, which they didn't. But the reality is, like, compared to London, which cost $5 million and they made like $60 million, that's like a bonus for them. But if you're spending so much money that you have to try to like worry about getting that back, you're going to try to get every known actor you can. You're going to try to get your teeny bopper people in there. Like, you're not going to take it seriously. And that's where this movie fails, because they had to rely on getting their money back over everything else.
And now that, like, the scenario you mentioned, Kevin, like, you can take that concept for a movie and do it this way. Have them have the party for the tourists and run them into the catacomb. Be like, this is a game. We're going to hunt you and try to kill you. You have till morning to survive. And, like, maybe even wait till halfway through the movie to reveal these guys are werewolves when they turned up the stakes.
Yeah,
They could even advertise it, or join the maze and win $1 million in the morning or something. Do it like that way, so it entices people to join the game, not knowing what's awaiting them. And I think that could have worked. But as you know, as the plot progresses, we then discovered that the man at the beginning of the movie who we thought was brutally killed was Stephane's stepfather, and because she was cursed by the werewolf curse, she killed her own mother, and he was her stepfather who was trying to find a cure for it. And as you know, there is that scene where one of Andy's friends was kidnapped and locked in a cage, and you could hear growling in the background, and it turns out he himself is a werewolf, but he's de-legged. He's been, he's had his legs cut off.
I'll admit that was one of the better sequences in the film.
And I know the CGI shit in this, like, shotty, it's like PG-1 effects, but you have to remember they were using low budget effects on the budget that they had. So I still appreciate it, but I do wish they went more practical. This, for me, was my favourite shot in the film with CGI, the transformation scene.
Yeah.
Even though you don't see it completely, I thought what they did here was brilliant.
Probably because it's short and sweet, and it doesn't last that long. I think that's probably why it's a good effect, which I have to agree, it is a good effect there.
And then obviously it's, the end of the movie is basically the same as the party sequence, where he is now, we've missed a big chunk of the film after he basically, a bit like the one thing I appreciate about this, what they did more of, is unlike with David in the first film, where he's just in the apartment and he gets very hot, he strips his clothes off, he's getting frustrated, and he transforms. They kind of do it slower in this way, like they see him starting to, like, there's that scene where he's on the bridge in Paris and he can hear the water ripple. You can hear people talking in the distance, the dog can hear, and then the dog's humping his leg. They do all this, but they show him, like, slowly succumbing to the feelings and the animalistic traits of what he's now becoming, and then he bumps into the American tourist lady who is just a complete fucking head case. Like, he wines and dines in a restaurant, he starts trying to bang her in the fucking graveyard. And then, mind she was smart, she was using a perfume to kind of get rid of the werewolf. And then the cop distracts her, and then she's hunted down, and then she herself becomes a ghost.
Let's be real. If it wasn't the werewolf, this girl was always going to get with the wrong person and be more murdered.
Yeah. She seemed like a ditz, in my opinion.
So, and then the stupid thing is, she's a ghost, and she's trying to get she's trying to get Andy killed. It's like, there's that time where she's walking on the road, and she's just sat on so you can get hit by a fucking car.
Doesn't she like try to whistle and then blood just kind of squirts
So
out
the
of her?
her eyeball pops out.
Yeah.
At first, she tries to whistle, but because of her throat, she can't do it. So
Yeah.
she holds her throat, then it pops her eyeball out.
Yeah.
And
This
then,
is
of course,
That's the force comedy. That's where it's like it doesn't
I was gonna
work
say exactly this
because I
comedy
like
doesn't work.
London. It's subtle and it's funny and it's just kind of sarcastic. Here, it's just like it's too blatant.
Like, okay, like if you didn't do like the eyeball gag and the whistling, if it was just her, like, even though she can't, desperately trying to wave those guys down and say he's here so they can kill him, then the joke would have worked.
Right.
so it's like I say, I understand it was back in, the 1990s, so the special effects weren't that great. For me, that's like the equivalent of, like, say, special effects in the Lawnmower Man kind of film. But the thing is, you don't have to have great effects if you've got a great story with a great script and an amazing, the acting is at least of some quality.
Because I've seen many films that have piss poor effects, but the story keeps you invested, and that's why I say this one, I'm sorry, it doesn't do that. I mean, it's far from keeping you invested. It makes you think like, please, someone get a rope and lynch me right now because I'm tired of this. I'm going to put me out of my misery.
It has a handful of good ideas. I would like to see someone cherry pick and make a good movie out of, but this ain't it.
Yeah.
So, as you know, there's a way to kill a werewolf and to stay human, and that is to eat the heart of the person who is the werewolf that transformed you. That is basically something that's revealed in this plot. And, there is no links or any mentioning of the previous film, American Werewolf in London, because all of those links were cut out of the film. But there is one particular link that is clear as day, which Anthony has kind of already hinted to, and that is, of course, Stephine, who stepfather's now, a werewolf. She killed her mother because of the curse. And it's basically hinted that the mother is Alex from the first film.
Can someone explain to me why the mother has a British accent but the daughter has a French accent? Make it make sense.
Because clearly what happened is, after David's death, Alex has obviously moved on from her life. When they had that one night stand, which it basically is after he's been killed, she obviously found out she was pregnant. And if you remember, because of the curse, the person who was the werewolf has to die. Yes, he died, but if she was impregnated, the curse might have passed on to her. Well, not her, but it's passed on to her baby, which is obviously Stephine. And then, of course, after the birth of Stephine, she's then got werewolfism, a lot of Lycanism in her. And she's then obviously, when she's probably hit puberty, which is kind of goes side to side with a couple of werewolf films where a person who is young becomes a werewolf. Once they hit puberty, the symptoms or the curse is activated, and then the transform, and maybe that's what happened, and she's ended up killing her mother Alex, and then her stepfather, who she's married someone in France, has been trying to help her by finding a cure, and in the end has become a werewolf himself.
That's a lot of dumpster fire right there.
A lot of dumpster fire. Well, that was never even fucking mentioned or explained in the film, but it explains why she's French though, and her mother, who's a ghost, is British.
Whatever works, whatever works.
But the climax of this film is, like I say, it's a chase through the catacombs, but fighting this werewolf cult. And
can I just say, is there really a climax to this film? Because it just seems like we're just doing things over and over again with certain things. I'm just like, Is there? I'm sorry.
Well, Anubis, I'm gonna let you try and defend this film with the
Yeah,
with the
please.
climax.
Well, yeah, obviously the idea here is you, in order to break the curse for yourself, you eat the heart of the one werewolf that bit you, and he discovers that this head of this like little clown show, these guys that are
Claude, I
killing
think
all
he was
these.
called Claude.
Yeah, so he finds out through he stabbed him with like a some sort of metal object down in the catacombs initially, and he realizes that this Claude guy is the one that actually bit him. So he knows that if he eats his heart, he'll get the curse off of him. And of course, they've been using these syringes to like inject themselves to get around the full moon effect and turn whenever they want to. So he gets stabbed by accident with the syringe, and that's when he starts turning. And of course, Claude runs like a bitch and gets fucked up, and his heart gets eaten, and it's really terrible CGI. But
I'm gonna say, did the writers like watch the movie Full Eclipse?
But Full Eclipse is a way better film.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I will say another thing I did kind of like in this movie was that we get to see like what happens to one of the dead in limbo once the curse is lifting. I don't think the effect was handled that well, but it was interesting to see what actually happens.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you got to see something.
Yes.
You know, you got like you never saw what happened to Jack. It basically at the end of American Werewolf for London, you just basically seen David be free of the torture of becoming a werewolf, but you didn't see what happened to Jack. But obviously, you can assume he's now free of it all. The same with all the other victims. Where that's another positive. At least you got to see what happened to the victims.
I guess that's left for interpretation. You know, that's left up to the audience thought process. So, yeah, that makes sense.
But it's really hard for me to talk much more about this film without, positive. So I'm gonna we'll go around the table. Positives and negatives. We'll start with Walter. There's fuck all. Right, next, Jake.
Are we doing our ratings also for them
We're
now?
gonna do the ratings at the end. But no, Walter, if you have any positives, please see them.
Okay, I'm gonna give my positive on this. The one positive is about this film, and it's a good positive. It ended. Okay, that was a positive for me. I mean, when it ended, it's like I'm out of this. I'm done with this. I'm so gone with this crap, So for ratings, oh god, you know what? I'm gonna just say this. The rating is probably lower than Howard the Duck's. I put it like that, but that's probably not saying much because Howard the Duck is not that great of a film itself, but it's way better than this shit. And not in just to bring something up too. When Anubis mentioned something about MTV, how this was for the MTV crowd, realize this, that MTV originally came out during the time when American Werewolf in London came out, because it came out in 81. It was formed around that time. So it was still in its infancy. It was juicing up. But once it got to the 90s, it pretty much created this wave of, well, we got to be this grunge thing. We got to be this rock thing. We got to just like, and it wasn't
once they started playing around with like the real world and started doing a lot more TV oriented stuff and getting away from videos is when this shit happens.
And this is why I say this had a drastic effect on this. And it's something like Anthony says, like this could have been a way better film, but I feel that MTV effect was too much. And I feel like people are trying to capitalize on it. And that's why I say it doesn't work for me. I mean, I can really get into it because it was a time where I was in my youth and, I enjoyed it, but it doesn't work here. So the rating is very low, and I'm not going to even say the lowest of how low it is. It's just low. And like I say, the positive of it, it ended when it got through. I was like, I'm done with it. So that's the positive.
Very positive. Mr. J. Cole.
Okay, so it's literally been a very long time since I've watched this film, and when I watched it yesterday, I was like, "Holy crap!" Now I'm not like Walter, unfortunately.
You got
I did enjoy it for what it was. Was the CGI great? Not necessarily. Was the story great? Not necessarily. But I did enjoy what they tried to do. But I, with the lowest budget that they had, they didn't do a great job with it. So for me, it's a half rating, like 5 out of 10. I give it a half because it has been so long since I've seen this film, and I know why now. But I still enjoy it for what it is. I think they could have done better with the ending because, really and truly, if the girl was born with the werewolfism, then how did she become normal at the end with her new husband and all that? As for American Werewolf in London, that is a 9 out of 10. I mean, way better and still a classic. So that's what I say about American Werewolf in Paris. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Mr. J. Cole. Anthony Jordan.
Well, I like a few concepts in this movie. They weren't done that well. Like Walter, I can say the best thing is that it ended. And in fact, when it ended, and why I said I do kind of like the scene where we see what happened to his friend after the curse was lifted, because I felt just like that idiot. Like, it's over. Like, this film, I'd seen it when it first premiered on Stars back in the late 90s, and I hadn't watched it since, and now I remember why. This is a 0.5 out of 10, and I am never watching it again.
At least you're nicer than I was. I can tell. I mean, what I said.
DJ Anubis.
So the pros are obviously Julie Delpy, hands down. She's great. I love her. So I always give her credit for this, at least in terms of her acting. But look, this film has a lot of problems. But you and I and most people here, we've been doing reviews on werewolf movies all month long.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still watch this over a good chunk of a lot of those films. Like I will watch this more than any other film that I've seen in the Howling series easily.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make this a great film by any means. So really, despite my problems with it at the time, the soundtrack is good. It's definitely what we thought it would be. The alternative rock stuff, it works. And I think Jake's right. This film is what it is. This is a film you don't take super serious. You just have fun with it. It's stupid dumb. It's really stupid dumb. The CGI sucks, but it is what it is. You can only deal with what that point of it at this point. But I give it basically a little bit higher than Jake, about a 6 out of 10. Because when I stack it up to any other fucking werewolf film, because I am very particular about my werewolves, there's just so much garbage out there that this is like a fucking Oscar winner compared to that shit. Don't worry, I only pick good movies.
So, what was your rating?
Oh, so 6 out of 10 for this. For London, it's 10 out of 10 easily.
London, 10 out of 10. Timeless classic. Positives for American Werewolf in Paris is I kind of like what people have said. I appreciate what they tried to do. I think they could have made it a lot darker. I think they should have cut down on the comedy. I think it would work better if they made it like a chase or a hunt in the catacombs or over this romantic plot. The negatives is bad acting, bad script, and just the plot just isn't good. So there's more negatives than positives, but I'm going to be like J. Cole. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. And I'm very much like Anubis. If I ever have to watch The Howling 7 or this, I'm fucking putting this in the DVD player. Fuck that movie.
If my choice are either one of those movies, I choose.
But that's what we think of American Werewolf. And this is, another Fear the Wolf month of the werewolf special. And we'll have some more coming up for the rest of the month. So I'm going to tell you what's coming. So on the 18th, we have Fear the Wolf Ginger Snaps special, doing all 3 films. On the 20th, we have Cursed Wolf and Were. And then to end Fear the Wolf, month of the werewolf, we have on the 25th, we have Werewolf 2024, Dog Soldiers, and Late Phases and Howl. That's what's coming to the entertainment headquarters. But what's coming to the Metal Tavern Radio?
Yes, sir.
Well, tonight I'll have my episode up for Ghouls of Midnight with Mr. Tony the Dead. I've chosen Disremembered, and he's chosen the new Toxic Avenger film, which he'll get it up sometime in the next couple of days when we review it. But those are our picks for this week. Tomorrow, I know that Jedi is going to be with us for Savants to make up for last week while Elvin was ill. To do 1980s The Fog, John Carpenter. And then Friday, I've got my own little special, werewolf segment I'm doing where I'm doing Werewolves Within, doing also a Viking Wolf, Wolfen, and Full Eclipse. So I think Anthony and Kevin, of course, going to be on Olvin's on that, I think, as well. Then Saturday, for my Savants pick, I'll be doing Monster Island with Olvin as well as Mr. Tony the Dead. So that's what I got coming up.
Mr. Jedi Granville.
Well, as Anubis aforementioned, we'll be joining up with him and Olvin on the Screen Savants talking about The Fog, that very timely classic of John Carpenter's. Come Friday, not Friday, but Saturday, I'll be joining up with a friend of mine, Mark Justice, where we're going to be discussing the Heisei era Godzilla films with a couple other friends. I don't know who else will be on there on his channel, and it's going to be recording and everything, but we're going to be discussing that and kind of break down some things about that. And then later that afternoon, I will be discussing, and I'm not sure if this other party will be joining me, where we'll be discussing the 1986 classic. And I mentioned this before, but I only mentioned because it seemed like it's one of those biggest turkeys out there, Howard the Duck, which was something that George Lucas was supposed to be a pet project of his, but well, we already know what happened to that. And come that Sunday, I will be discussing the Ishiro Honda classic, which I feel people need to look a little bit more of, which is Atragon, which I will be, which will be joined up with, and I would say Jake and Mr. Kevin Lambert will be joining me with me. So we'll be discussing that, breaking it down. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, well, we know what's happening with Jake Hall because he's joining us for Atragon. So that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yes, it will be.
Anthony Jordan, what's coming to your channel?
Well, just mostly my Montober stuff, premiering some of the aforementioned stuff that I'm going to be on. And because of Fear the Wolf month, I'm currently in the process, and it will be done before the end of the month, of doing an audio recording of an original werewolf story I'm telling about these campers that go camping in grizzly country and encounter a werewolf. Working title, save file title, is just The Wolf, but I'm leaning towards calling it The Wolf of Grizzly Country.
Nice. Sounds cool. In Jake Hall on the 2nd of November, which is a Sunday, 10 p.m. I am going to be doing Yongari for Kaiju Connections. If you would like to join with that one,
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
just so you've got something else to put on your calendar. But for everybody watching, thank you so much. I've enjoyed talking about the classic An American Werewolf in London and the so American Werewolf in Paris. It beats the Howling 7. So that's all I can really fucking say on that one. But everybody, thank you for tuning in. This has been the Entertainment Headquarters. This has been Fear the Wolf, the month of werewolves. Keep your eyes at the moon. Keep away from the moors. And if you hear a growling or a howl, you better run like
Your
hell.
stomach.
Catch you later, everybody. Take care.